Okay, Precinct 1.
15 present, 11 absent.
Precinct 1 reports 15 present, 11 absent. Precinct 2. Precinct 2 reports 11 present, 19 absent. Precinct 3. Precinct 3 reports 14 present, 16 absent. Precinct 4. Precinct 4, 20 present, 9 absent. Precinct 5.
16 present, 12 absent.
Precinct 5 reports 16 present, 12 absent. Precinct 6.
19 present, 10 absent.
Precinct 6 reports 19 present, 10 absent. Precinct 7.
23 present, 7 absent.
Precinct 7 reports 23 present, 7 absent. Precinct 8. Precinct 8 reports 21 present, 8 absent. At large. At large reports 13 present, 11 absent. One, 5-2. 152 members being present, we have a quorum. Will the monitors please bring forward their attendance sheets? The town clerk will now read the warrant.
Good evening, everyone. This is the annual town meeting, May 20th, 2013, Milford, Mass. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Worcester County. To either constable of the town of Milford and said county, greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth aforesaid, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Milford qualified by law to vote in the town affairs, to meet in the upper town hall of the Milford Town Hall, 52 Main Street, on the 20th day of May, 2013 AD at 7:30 p.m., and then and there to act upon the following articles. Article 1, to hear and act upon reports of all town officers and committees of the town.
Motion has been made and seconded. We dispense with the reading of the articles. Does any voter care to be heard on the motion to dispense with the reading of the articles? If not, the question comes upon the motion to dispense. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is carried. The clerk will now read the officer's return.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Worcester County, Milford, Mass. Date April 23rd, 2013. Pursuant to the within warrant, I have notified the inhabitants of the town of Milford to meet at the time and place for the purpose within mentioned by posting attested copies of the warrant in 10 or more public places in Milford. Thomas O'Laughlin, Police Chief.
Request for Attorney Villani, Administrative Assistant, to be seated at the members at large. Any member object? Hearing no objections, he's allowed to be seated in the members at large. Are there any resolutions to be presented to the meeting? Chairman Buckley.
Good evening, town meeting members. Whereas the citizens of Milford have learned with great sorrow and deep regret of the passing of Richard J. Person. Whereas Richard J. Person was for over 25 years a town meeting member. Whereas Richard J. Person for 6 years was a member of the library trustees. Whereas Richard J. Person was a member of the library renovation committee. Whereas Richard J. Person was a member of the Upper Charles Trail Committee. Whereas Richard J. Person served this community faithfully and unselfishly as a loyal and sincere citizen. Therefore, let it be resolved, as a mark of respect, the business of this meeting be suspended while members stand in solemn and silent tribute to his memory, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to his family, Milford Board of Selectmen, William Buckley, Chairman, Dino D. Bartolomees, Brian W. Murray, Esquire.
Are there any other resolutions?
There are, Mr. Chairman. Whereas the citizens of Milford have learned with great sorrow and deep regret of the passing of Mary M. Zakili. Whereas Mary M. Zakili was for many years an elected member of Precinct 2 of the town meeting. Whereas Mary M. Zakili served the community faithfully and unselfishly as a loyal and sincere citizen. Therefore, let it be resolved as a mark of respect, the business of this meeting be suspended while members stand in solemn and silent tribute to her memory, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to her family. Respectfully submitted, Milford Board of Selectmen, William Buckley, Chairman, Dino D. Bartolomees, Member, Brian W. Murray, Esquire, Member.
Are there any other resolutions? As I turn to my left, I look for Richard Person in Precinct 1 and turn to my right and look for Mary Zakili, so often present in our town meetings. But I'd ask all members to rise and remain standing in a moment of silence, tribute to their service to the town of Milford. Are there any committee reports? Mr. Shane, Chairman of the Finance Committee.
Moderator, selectmen, town meeting members, and ladies and gentlemen. We have a technical problem tonight. There is no laptop computer, and I had my presentation on the laptop. I also have it written. So you're going to have to bear with me because I understand there's a lot of new members at town meeting, and I wanted to go through the budget somewhat line by department to tell you what went on. But first, Finance Committee prepared 2 reports, which I'm sure you all got in the mail. This is a report on our recommendations on every article, and you've received a copy of the budget, our proposed budget. So I'll just skip all the rest of this and go right to it. You don't have a copy, but I've marked off, but you have it in the budget. I've marked off every department. Yellow departments are over the 2% recommendation. The white departments are even with the 2%. The red departments are under the 2%. And I'd like to go highlight a couple of them because I'm sure there are some questions, or will be. Building inspectors, the department, 9% over last year's budget. They're over because they increased the hours of the assistant building inspector, so it's salary. CIC, Department 189, they're 17% over last year's budget because of salary and increase in general expenses for copying costs. Hydrant, Department 296, 83% over last year's budget. Finance Committee has to take a worst-case scenario. The water company is asking for an 83% pay hike or rate hike, and we have to budget for that. That's the worst case. If it comes in less, that money will return to the general fund. School Department. School Department came in 4% over last year's budget. But, it's Department 300, by the way. If you take out special education, which the Finance Committee in this town has funded from day one because it's an unfunded mandate, they have no choice. People come in and need special education. We have to fund it. They went up 1.7%. Their special education budget is over $11 million out of their 40. Cemetery Department, Department 491, went up 9% over last year's budget. Cemetery Department has seasonal employees that work non-winter hours, and during the winter they lay them off and they collect unemployment. They figured out that if they kept them on for 12 months and eliminated the unemployment, the net increase to the town would be $1,000. So the Finance Committee approved that and said keep them on for 12 months and they would work for the Highway Department during the winter months. Youth Services, Department 542 went up 8%. That was pure salary. It's the director's salary, based on steps and 2% COLA. He's a new employee, so he's through step. Library Department added salary increase. Okay, one employee is working an extra 10 hours a week. Parks Department, 5%. I don't remember why. Sorry. I'll think about it. Short-term interest went up 100%. No department. From 61,000 to 120,000. That is anticipation of the school loan. Workers' comp went up 77%. That was an increase in rates. Employee health insurance went up 8%. That's actually very good because it really went down. We normally see it 12 to 14%. That's Department 914. Talk about the negatives, but I think I highlighted the major increases, and if there are any questions, we can field them later during Article 4. Total budget this year, and we can discuss that later. Not good having no technology. All right, so the Finance Committee recommendations for fiscal 14, budget increase of 4%, limit debt service to $3 million using stabilization, and we'll do that at the fall town meeting if necessary. We're going to create a short-term capital stabilization account, and we're going to transfer in, or proposing to transfer in, $500,000. The reason is that we have a stabilization account now, and there's over $10 million in that account, and the Finance Committee visualizes and utilizes that account for long-term debt. And as I said in the previous statement, that if we limit our long-term debt or debt service to $3 million, and we do the school next year, we're going to have to start drawing down on the $10 million stabilization. We have other articles or other items that we have to purchase on an annual basis. We have a fire truck that's coming up in 3 years for $1 million. We paint the town hall every 5 or 6 years. We normally have an article on the warrant because we put money in the articles on an annual basis. So when we get to that period of time when we have to pay the bill, we have the money. So we decided that we're going to put money into a fund, and instead of having an article every year for 4 years or 3 years or 5 years putting money there, we'll just take the money out of that stabilization account and pay that bill. And we collect interest on that. Basically, that's it. Sorry for the technology problem.
Are there any other committee reports? Yes, Mr. Johnson.
Good evening, Greg Johnson, CIC Chair. You should have all gotten the CIC's report with your packet this time. So it pretty much stands on its own. If you have any questions, I'll be over in Precinct 3 if you like any more follow-up. Just a quick note about the top of page 3 where we sort of summarize our findings for the 4 capital articles coming before this body tonight. The two...
Can you speak a little bit louder, Craig?
Very good. At the top of page 3, where we sort of summarize our findings for tonight's articles, the capital articles. The first 2 that we recommend as critical are both related to the Milford Youth Center, and those will likely be passed over if Article 18, the Youth Center's architecture article, is successful. The other 2 articles mentioned as important, I listed Article 25, the Town Hall roof, which got bumped up. We were expecting that in the fall, but bad winter, harsh winds. And if anybody saw the debris laying in the parking lot, you'll know why that got moved up. The other article was the Highway Department's Article 41. All of them have been recommended favorably. So as I say, any questions, I'm over in Precinct 3. Thanks.
Any other committee reports? If not, what is the pleasure of the meeting?
The stand is now busted, so you'll all be holding
Should we
it.
get rid of Mr. Johnson? Okay. What's the pleasure of the meeting? Article 2?
Dennis Carroll, Precinct 6, Chairman of the Personnel Board. I move that the town vote. Can't hear me? Sorry. Can you hear it now? Okay. I move that the town of Milford vote to amend the wage and salary schedule of the Wage and Salary Administration Plan by establishing new position grades and salary levels as recommended by the Personnel Board for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2013 as follows.
Motion's been made and seconded that we waive the reading of the detail of the motion if it is exactly as appears in the warrant that all town meeting members have. Is it, Mr. Carroll?
Yes.
It is. Any vote care to be heard in the motion to dispense? If not, the question comes upon the motion. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 3. Before we get to Article 3, just a reminder, I should have said it a few minutes ago, especially to all new town meeting members. We had a meeting the other night, and there were about 40 to 50 new town meeting members, and I went over the procedures for those people that were not here. Any town meeting member, as well as any citizen in the town of Milford, has a right to address the meeting. Once they get recognized by the moderator, in order to get recognized by the moderator, you should stand and yell, "Mr. Moderator," and hopefully I'll hear you and see you and recognize you. So that's the way to get recognized, and when you speak on the motion as presented. Try not to wander, and that way, let's keep the train on the track. Okay, Article 3. Mr. Buckley.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to fix the salary and compensation of all elected officers of the town as provided by Section 108, Chapter 41 of the general laws as follows.
Motion again made and seconded to waive the reading of the detail of the motion. All those, any vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried. Chairman Buckley.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This year, the Board of Selectmen is recommending a 2% salary increase adjustment for the 4 full-time elected officials: town clerk, town treasurer, tax collector, and highway surveyor, and a 2% increase for all other elected officials with the exception of the Board of Selectmen, which will remain at the prior year's level.
Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Does any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 4. Chairman Shane.
I move the town meeting receive the report of the Finance Committee and that the moderator inquire if any voter wishes to consider any item separately. That if any voter so wishes, he or she shall ask the moderator to remove this item from the report, and when this is done, that the town vote to raise and appropriate and transfer where indicated in the report the amount recommended in the Finance Committee report as amended, and that the meeting shall then consider the items which have been removed from the report by taking up each item individually.
You have before you the 10-page Finance Committee motion, together with, as I understand it, the addendum to the motion under Article 4, which is 1 page that was on your seats as you came in. That, as I understand, is the motion presented by the Chairman of the Finance Committee. I'll now inquire as to whether anyone wants to take any item from that report and consider it individually. If not, the question comes upon the motion. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 5, Town Treasurer Barbara Ogier.
I move that the town vote to authorize the town treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, to borrow money from time to time in anticipation of revenue of the financial year beginning July 1st, 2013, in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 4, and to issue a note or notes therefore payable within 1 year, and to renew any note or notes as may be given for a period of less than 1 year in accordance with the General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 17.
A motion made and seconded, the town vote to authorize the town treasurer with the approval of the Board of Selectmen to borrow money from time to time in anticipation of the revenue of the financial year beginning July 1, 2013, in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 4, and to issue a note or notes therefore payable within 1 year, and to renew any note or notes as may be given for a period of less than 1 year in accordance with General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 17. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Does any voter care to be heard? Barbara?
Town meeting members, this article is brought before you on an annual basis, and it is just what it says it is. It allows me to borrow money when the need arises in anticipation of revenues. We haven't had to do this for as long as I've been treasurer, and we hopefully will not need to do this, but in the event that we do, we need to have this in place. I hope that you'll vote in favor.
Does any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion. Since it requires borrowing two-thirds vote is necessary, I'll take a voice vote. If that is not unanimous, the individual precincts will be polled. All those in favor of the motion manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 6. Chairman Buckley.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to take charge of all legal proceedings for or against the town.
Motion made and seconded, the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to take charge of all legal proceedings for or against the town. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Chairman Buckley.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is another reoccurring annual vote. It's very important that town meeting authorize Selectmen to take charge of all legal proceedings for or against the community. This is crucial and where it's centralized authority and allows for responsible decision-making. It's also consistent with other towns in the Commonwealth. The authority is granted by the town meeting to the Board of Selectmen.
Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 7. Chairman Buckley.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to expend from funds received from the town as fines for parking violations during fiscal year 2014, such sums of money, such sums or sums of money are necessary to pay the cost and expense of collecting such fines and otherwise complying with the provisions of Section 20A of Chapter 90 of the General Laws during said fiscal year.
Motion made and seconded, the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to expend from funds received by the town as fines for parking violations during fiscal year 2014, such sum or sums of money as are necessary to pay the costs and expenses of collecting such fines and otherwise complying with the provisions of Section 20A of Chapter 90 of the General Laws during said fiscal year. Finance Committee recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any voter care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator?
Selectman Buckley.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is another recurring annual vote in which the case will authorize the funds received from parking violations to pay for cost of collection and of the parking fees and otherwise support the enforcement of parking restrictions, including handicap restrictions across the town.
Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 8. Town Treasurer Barbara Ogier.
I move that the town vote to authorize the treasurer and/or tax collector to enter into a compensating balance agreement or agreements for fiscal year 2014 pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 53F of the general laws.
Motion made and seconded. The town vote to authorize the town treasurer and/or tax collector to enter into a compensating balance agreement or agreements for fiscal year 2014 pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 53F of the general laws. Finance Committee recommendation.
Favorable.
Favorable. Any vote care to be heard? Barbara?
Town meeting, this also is a annual article that's brought before you, and it allows the tax collector and myself to enter into a compensating balance agreement with the local banks, and I ask for your support.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 9.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town
Bartolomeus.
vote for fiscal year 2014 to authorize any and all departments to utilize, without further appropriation, any amounts received from insurance companies or third parties as damages or payment for damage to any town-owned property for the purpose of repairing or replacing such property, or as deemed appropriate by the Board of Selectmen directly depositing such funds to the Municipal Building and Property Insurance Fund established by vote under Article 45 of the June 11th, 1990 Annual Town Meeting.
Motion made and seconded. The town vote for our fiscal year 2014 to authorize any and all departments to utilize, without further appropriation, any amounts received from insurance companies or other third parties as damages or payment for damage to any town-owned property for the purpose of repairing or replacing said property, or as deemed appropriate by the Board of Selectmen, directly depositing such funds in the Municipal Building and Property Insurance Fund established by vote under Article 45 of the June 11, 1990 Annual Town Meeting. Finance Committee recommendation.
Favorable.
Favorable. Any vote care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, this is something that we do every year when there's property damage. This allows us to go after insurance, third party, so that we can obtain the monies and then replace the damaged or missing piece of property, whatever it may be, and it saves the town money, and it's done readily so that we don't have to waste time or cost the town money. So hopefully you'll approve this. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 10.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote
Bartolomeus.
to authorize all persons, boards, or agencies of the town otherwise authorized to contract for or on behalf of the town during fiscal year 2014 to enter into such contracts or agreements for up to 5 years, except in the case of contracts or agreements dealing with real estate, which may be up to 10 years.
Motion made and seconded. The town vote to authorize all persons, boards, or agencies of the town otherwise authorized to contract for or on behalf of the town during fiscal year 2014 to enter into such contracts or agreements for up to 5 years, except in the case of contracts or agreements dealing with real estate, which may be for up to 10 years. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any vote care to be heard?
Yes, town meeting members, once again, this is something that we do every year, and it's basically allows us to enter into contracts for 5, 10 years, and if we didn't have that authorization from you, every time we want to do something over 3 years, we'd have to have a town meeting to go forward. So hopefully you'll approve this article. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 11. Motion to reconsider Article 4. Motion to reconsider is debatable. You want to speak on why you want to reconsider Article 4, Mr. Visconti? Again, when you come to the podium, please identify yourself and what precinct you're from, unless I remember who you are and address you by your full name. Mr. Visconti.
sorry, broken. Mike Visconti, Precinct 8. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Town meeting members. I believe that we should reconsider Article 4 because it seems to me that each and every year this article is approved without little, if any, debate. I believe this is too important of an article to be approved without any debate at all. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard on the motion to reconsider Article 4? If not, the question comes upon the motion to reconsider Article 4. All those in favor of reconsidering Article 4 manifest by saying aye. All those opposed, no. No. Motion is defeated. Article 11. Article 11.
I'm sorry, move that the town vote for fiscal year 2014 pursuant to Section 4 of Chapter 73 of the Acts of 1986 to approve an additional exemption of up to 100% of the currently allowed exemptions for all eligible real estate tax exemptions under General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5.
Motion made and seconded, the town vote for fiscal year 2014 pursuant to Section 4 of Chapter 73 of the Acts of 1986 to approve an additional exemption of up to 100% of the currently allowed exemptions for all eligible real estate tax exemptions under General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 5. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any vote care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, once again, we've had this article since 2000. It basically helps out the most needy of our community, the elderly, blind, veterans, and other veteran services. We have 201 persons who are eligible for this. The requirements are rather stringent, so not everybody can get it. But there are 201 persons in the town of Milford who receive an exemption, and the exemption can be anywhere from $500 to $1,000 maximum. And it's regulated pretty, like I said, pretty tightly, but these would be for the most needy of our community. So hopefully you'll continue to support this article. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard in the motion? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is carried unanimously. Article 12. Town Treasurer Ogier.
I move that the town vote to authorize the town treasurer to accept deeds in lieu of foreclosure pursuant to Chapter 60, Section 77C of the Massachusetts General Laws.
Motion made and seconded, the town vote to authorize the town treasurer to accept deeds in lieu of foreclosure pursuant to Chapter 60, Section 77C of the Massachusetts General Laws. Recommendation by the Finance Committee?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any vote care to be heard? Barbara?
Town meeting, this law will allow me to expedite the foreclosure process by accepting a deed in lieu of foreclosure. It actually saves the town all the costs associated with going to land court to do so. It's been used a couple of times during my tenure, and it's a very effective and efficient way to get things done.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 13. Town Council Moody.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to transfer a sum of money in the amount of $10,996.81 from the excess and deficiency account to be spent under the jurisdiction of the school committee for purposes of student activities not funded in the school department budget.
Motion made and seconded, the town vote to transfer a sum of money in the amount of $10,996.81 from the excess and deficiency account to be spent under the jurisdiction of the school committee for purposes of student activities not funded in the school department budget. Finance Committee recommendation?
Favorable.
Any other vote care to be heard? Town Council Moody.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may recall this has been coming up for the last couple of years, and it will be an annual vote. For many, many years, the funds that flowed through the vending machines were utilized directly without further appropriation for the student activity accounts. It was determined a few years ago that that was not the proper method. It's got to be put into the general fund, and then this body has to appropriate it out. So that is the number that went into the general fund from the vending machines, and that's the number that the school committee is asking you to authorize be used for student activity accounts.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 14. Town Council Moody.
Mr. Honorary Town Meeting members, I move that the town vote to establish revolving funds for certain town departments under General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and 1/2, for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2013, with the specific receipts credited to each fund, the purposes for which each fund may be spent, and the maximum amount that may be spent from each fund for the fiscal year as follows.
Mr. Moderator, can we dispense with the reading of the revolving accounts if they are identical to the handouts?
I'll ask the Speaker if...
Yeah, the same as left on the...
All right, everyone has the handout relative to the transfers requested in the motion. Motion has been made to dispense with the reading of the remainder of the motion. Any vote care to be heard on the motion to dispense with the reading of the remainder of the motion? If not, the question comes upon the motion to dispense. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried. Finance Committee recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any vote care to be heard? Town Council Moody.
Ladies and gentlemen, this again, it's another annual vote. You've seen this each and every year, and we've been doing in this fashion of one master vote for the last several years. What you see in front of you here is exactly as it was the last year, with one difference, which is on the Youth Commission. In the last year, that amount was set at $110,000. It was actually reduced because of difficulties that were going on, and just to monitor it better. The Finance Committee and everybody else has agreed that the proper amount based upon the anticipated receipts of the Youth Commission is $150,000 you see here. So again, but for that, it's exactly as we voted last year. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard on the motion as presented? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 15. Town Council Moody.
Mr. Moderator, Town Meeting members, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $30,000 from the excess and deficiency account to continue the review of the Milford Water Company rate increase case and for witness and expert services in relation thereto.
Motion made and seconded that the town vote to transfer the sum of $30,000 from the excess and deficiency account to continue the review of the Milford Water Company rate increase case and for witness and expert services in relation thereto. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Does any vote care to be heard? Town Council Moody.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're all familiar with the water company rate increase case. We had an appropriation at the fall town meeting of $30,000 to move forward on that case. We have moved forward, as you've probably read. Hearings have gone on before the Department of Public Utilities. There was a hearing here last December. 5 days of hearing were held over the last month before the DPU, and we're in the process of putting together briefs and other final documents for submission, and we hope to have a decision from the DPU on whatever rate increase is going to be approved before the end of the summer. And this is the sum that we need now to finish that up. And again, this is an extraordinary amount of money that's at stake here, 83%. The water company is in essence spending $400,000 of your dollars, because it goes into the rate increase, in order to advance their case. We expect to spend in the range of $70,000 or so to defend it, and we're hopeful to get somewhat of a positive result before this is done, and so we strongly urge your support.
Does any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 16. Mr. Morrison.
Richard Morrison, Precinct 1. I move that the town vote in a non-binding resolution to express its opposition to the siting of a casino in the town of Milford.
You have that motion, Mr. Morrison?
I did not receive copies of the motion. The motion is... Thank you.
A motion has been made and seconded that the town vote in a non-binding resolution to express its opposition to the siting of a casino in the town of Milford. Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Unfavorable.
Unfavorable. Any vote care to be heard? Mr. Morrison. I think we're not taking the vote now, Mr. Visconti, but remind me when we do. Mr. Morrison.
Good evening. My goal is to attempt to separate the basic question of siting a casino in this town from the narrow process that the state legislature has given us to follow. We have over 4,000 students in the local school system. The town spends half of its annual budget supporting the school system, and there's been no consideration given to the impact of a casino on these students. These students are your most important resource. They're the population you spend the most money on, the group you devote thousands of hours of volunteer work, and no one is looking at the impact of a casino development on these kids. I wrote to your state rep and your state senator asking if any protection for kids was included in the state gambling legislation. Neither one of them answered. 24 casinos across the country provide on-site child care beginning at 6 weeks of age. Not 6 months, not 6 years old, but 6 weeks. You can look at the website of Mohegan Sun and find this. Massachusetts gaming law does not prohibit the establishment of child care centers in Massachusetts casinos. I have talked to people who have read the entire bill, and they assure me that no protections exist for people, for students, youngsters, in the state gambling law. Everything that happens in a society is reflected in your schools. Everything that happens in society affects the learning process. I first took note of this casino issue when I saw...
Representatives, you rise, sir. No, it's inappropriate this time, I think. Let the speaker finish.
I first took note of this casino issue when I saw an article about a couple of Massachusetts state reps trying to require that Massachusetts casinos patrol their parking lots, seeking kids left in locked cars while their caretakers were on the gambling floor. My initial reaction was that those state reps were grandstanding, but I couldn't forget the article and I finally researched it. I found report after report of kids being left in cars in casino parking lots all across the country. There are reports of signs at Foxwoods in Connecticut warning people not to leave their kids in their cars. There's a casino in Canada that posts a sign threatening to ban any parent, any caretaker for 5 years who leaves their child in their car. Casinos seek to keep their patrons engaged and focused on the game with glitz, glamour, and free drinks. You cannot contain gambling culture behind a fence on East Main Street. Your kids will hear about gambling from the guy down the street, from their friends' older siblings, and someone will end up thinking that it's a smart thing to do to teach 14-year-olds how to play craps. You won't keep gambling culture out of your schools, and you won't keep it out of your homes. The language of the casino industry will creep into the vocabulary of your students. Happy hours were stopped in Massachusetts for a simple reason. People were dying. And now we stand on the verge of creating a situation where free drinks are served to patrons while they're gambling. I'm not concerned that the casino developer can overcome any of the technical issues involved, given their willingness to spend $1 billion. But I don't think they want you thinking about your kids in this issue. You probably don't mind if the Red Sox, Celtics, or Bruins market their entertainment product to your kids. Those outfits are big business. They realize they have to market to your kids because they need the next generation of season ticket holders. Casinos need your kids to be the next generation of dice rollers. Scott Butera said here a few months ago that he wanted to build a community center you can be proud of. We're sitting in a community center we're proud of. We have another community center down North Bow Street we're proud of. We have another one across the street that we're proud of. And we did all of those without any casino daddy taking care of us. I think what Scott Butera means is he wants you to bring your kids to his casino complex so they're familiar and comfortable with it. He wants you to bring your kids to their restaurants, shops, and theaters because eventually your kids will be old enough to roll the dice and pull the slot handle. And here's a real unsavory part of the casino industry. Some of you may be familiar with the website Backpage.com. It showed up in the local paper a couple times over the past few weeks. Most recently when a massage parlor on East Main Street was raided by the police. My original intention was to print those ads and show them to you on the screen, but frankly, they're pretty tasteless. These ads are about women selling themselves. They don't advertise at a Motel 6 because the money is not at a Motel 6. They follow the money, and the money is at a casino. I wouldn't tolerate any suggestion that casinos fight to stop their premises from being used in this manner, but these ads appear week after week after week after month. I have been watching these ads at least since September. They appear more on weekends than on Monday nights. This town has fought long and hard to stop a strip joint from opening on East Main Street. You build 2 350-room hotels, you'll be opening the door to a revolving strip joint. Every problem that this town has faced, this town has solved by itself, on its own 2 feet, with a lot of hard work over the decades from a lot of dedicated people. I don't think we should lose our values to a promise that someone is going to pave the streets with gold. Thank you.
Any other vote that care to be heard? Mr. Deluzio. Everybody hear me? Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, my purpose in rising to speak in opposition to this article is based on its timeliness, not on its merits. Let me say at the outset that I take great pride in this town meeting's long-standing tradition and reputation of considering all sides of an issue, especially highly controversial issues, before casting its vote. At this point in the casino debate, we only have half the story. The only information on the public record for examination is a report prepared by the Casino Free Milford Committee, co-chaired by John Seaver and Steve Treadle, for whom I have the highest regard and respect. Under their leadership, the committee produced a well-researched report articulating the reasons why a casino in Milford is a bad idea. Now consider for a moment that if and when the casino proposal is presented as a ballot question to the electorate at large, there will be explanations given by those in support and by those in opposition to the petition. If the electorate at large is given the benefit of arguments on both sides, why should the town meeting members be treated differently? Town meeting members should have the opportunity to evaluate much more information than is currently available so we can have a balanced debate before we cast a vote. And we know there is much more information to come. It is my understanding that the casino will be submitting more details of its proposal in early June. Then the Selectmen's consultants will render its critique of the Casino Free Milford Committee's report and the casino developer's proposal. In addition, if the Selectmen decide to proceed, there will be a host community agreement, the details of which will be made public. When and only when all of this becomes part of the public record, would this resolution be timely and appropriate for consideration. If this article proceeds to a vote, those who vote in favor will be clearly declaring that they are opposed to a casino in Milford. But what about those that vote no? Some who vote no may indeed be in favor of a casino. However, others who vote no, like me, will vote no just because we want the opportunity to evaluate both sides of the issue. But our no vote will only be interpreted as being in favor of a casino in Milford. The only way to resolve this conundrum is to pass over the article. Finally, passing over this article now does not remove the town meeting from taking a position later when the full story is made part of the public record. That opportunity would either come at the end of the process, wherein a special town meeting would be convened to approve a zoning bylaw change that is required to permit casino use in the business park district. Even if the electorate at large has voted to approve the casino, the town meeting will have the final say by virtue of its vote on the zoning change. Therefore, Mr. Moderator, for all of the reasons I cited, and for preserving the town meeting's time-tested and respected tradition of hearing both sides of an issue before it casts its vote, I move to pass over this article. A motion has been made to pass over the motion as presented, or the article as presented. A motion to pass over is debatable. I'm explaining the motion to pass over. It's debatable. It's now before us. So if any voter cares to speak on the motion to pass over, you can address the body and indicate why you want to pass over and not consider the motion, or continue to consider the motion. Yes. Mr. Nero, was it?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Tim Spino, and I am a new member from precinct number 7. I respect everything that has just been said, but I'm just a bit confused because we're voting on a plan, and everything on the plan is coming from a certain individual corporation. I think it's more important for us to look at the corporation that's involved in the plan.
Mr. Spino, we've got to talk on whether you want to continue discussing this or whether you want to stop discussing it.
I want to stop. I want to continue discussing it.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's the basis of your argument.
Yes, correct. May I continue to speak?
You can't talk about the motion itself, though. You're just talking about whether to continue. I want to continue discussing it. I don't want to pass over it.
Okay.
Enough said.
May I continue the discussion as on?
No, you can't talk about the motion.
Okay.
You can't talk about the original motion as presented by Mr. Morrison, okay?
Then I apologize for taking your
Okay.
time. And
No,
I'll
that's...
have a seat and come back.
That's the way you would you'd speak on the motion to pass over, is get up and say, I think we should continue discussing the motion. I'm against passing over.
Okay.
And I think that's what you said.
That's correct.
Okay. Any other vote care to be heard on the motion to pass over? Not the motion itself, but the motion to pass over. Mr. D'Antonio.
Joe D'Antonio, Precinct 2. I'm in favor of the motion to pass over, And I would recommend that we have a finance committee that doesn't act on a whim. And to repeat the finance committee's recommendation, the finance committee recommends that this be passed over as there is no plan to review at this time. The committee believes that once there is a plan in place, the entire town should be asked to weigh in. So let's give everybody a chance, pass over this, whether you're for or against, and we will get more than enough time to speak about it once the facts are in. Please vote to pass over.
Any other voter care to be heard on the motion to pass over? Voter in precinct 1.
Mr. Moderator, Brian Cormier from Precinct 1. I am against the motion to pass over for the simple reason that we see future articles that have secondary effects. This is just a discussion on a principle, and the non-binding resolution does not require a specific plan. Thank you.
Any other voter care to be heard on the motion to pass over? Voter in precinct 2.
Rob Mitchell, Precinct 2. I vote that we do not pass this over. There's going to be an awful lot happening between now and the end of the year on this particular project, so much so that you guys will not have a second chance to hear this prior to the selectmen making a recommendation to move forward or not. This is our chance to have our voices heard, and I think it would be informative for you to listen to us. Thank you.
Any other voter care to be heard on the motion to pass over? Yes, the voter in precinct 4. All right, the voter has asked that we move the previous question, which is an attempt to shut off debate on the motion to pass over. It's not debatable and requires a 2/3 vote. So all those in favor of passing over or moving the previous question rise and remain standing until counted by the monitors. All those opposed to moving the previous question on the motion to pass over, rise and remain standing until counted by the monitors. Precinct 1. 8 in favor, 7 opposed. Precinct 1 reports 8 in favor, 7 opposed. Precinct 2. Precinct 2 reports 6 in favor, 4 opposed. Precinct 3. Precinct 3 reports 14 in favor, 0 opposed. Precinct 4. Precinct 4, 28 in favor, 0 opposed. Precinct 5.
15 in favor, 2 opposed.
Precinct 5, 15 in favor, 2 opposed. Precinct 6. Precinct 6, 15 in favor, I'm sorry, how many opposed? 2 opposed. Precinct 7. 19 in favor, 1 opposed. Precinct 7, 19 in favor, 1 opposed. Precinct 8. Precinct 8, 21 in favor, 2 opposed. At large? 8 in favor, 1 opposed. At large, 8 in favor, 1 opposed. $174. 134 having voted in the affirmative, 19 in the negative, the necessary two-thirds has been acquired to move the question on the motion to pass over. Now what you have before you is the motion to pass over. All right, and the motion to pass over requires a majority vote. All those in favor of passing over Article 16 or the motion in Article 16, manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. All those in favor will rise and remain standing until counted by the monitors. All those opposed to passing over the motion will rise and remain standing until counted by the monitors. Precinct 1. 11 in favor, 6 opposed. Precinct 1 reports 11 in favor, 6 opposed. Precinct 2. 6 in favor, 7 opposed. Precinct 2 reports 6 in favor, 7 opposed. Precinct 3. Precinct 3, 13 in favor, 1 opposed. Precinct 4. Precinct 4, 14 in favor, 7 opposed. Precinct 5.
14 in favor, 3 opposed.
Precinct 5, 14 in favor, 3 opposed. Precinct 6.
14 in favor, 4 opposed.
Precinct 6, 14 in favor, 4 opposed. Precinct 7.
10 in favor, 11 opposed.
Precinct 7, 10 in favor, 11 opposed. Precinct 8. 16 in favor, 3 opposed. 18 in favor, 3 opposed. At large? 9 in favor, none opposed. At large, 9 in favor, none opposed. Hmm. 109 having voted in the affirmative, 42 in the negative. The motion to pass over has been carried. Article 17. Mr. Buckley.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $75,000 from the excess and deficiency account, said sum to be added to the Veterans Department fiscal year 2013 budget line item 543-5300.
Motion made and seconded. The town vote to transfer the sum of $75,000 from the excess and deficiency account, said sum to be added to the Veterans Department fiscal year 2013 budget line item number 543-5300. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Does any vote care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator. Due to an increase in demand for veterans' benefits, we estimate the need for $75,000 to cover expenses to the end of this fiscal year. Most of the increased expenditures are attributable to the increase in both the number of veterans involved in seeking benefits and the cost of those benefits. This requested amount is reimbursable from the state at a rate of 75%.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 18, Attorney Murray.
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $300,000, said sum to be utilized to hire an architect and/or engineer to provide architectural and/or engineering services and design plans and specifications looking toward the renovations of the Milford Youth Center in the former Armory on Pearl Street.
Motion made and seconded, the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $300,000, said sum to be utilized to hire an architect and/or engineer to provide architectural and/or engineering services and design plans and specifications looking toward the renovations of the Milford Youth Center in the former Armory on Pearl Street. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any vote care to be heard? Attorney Murray?
Mr. Ryder, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you should have received a correspondence that the Youth Commission sent out to all of you. It was dated, I believe, May 5th. It gives a nice history of the youth center in this community, and I think most significantly talks about the groups that currently utilize it, from softball, football, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Special Olympics. It really has become an integral part of the town of Milford. By way of history, the state looked to divest itself of its armories around 2005. At that time, the Board of Selectmen and then Town Administrator Louis Salazzi commissioned all of our building and inspection officials to go through it to see exactly what the town was going to be receiving. They compiled a report and indicated at that time that long-term renovation and repair of the facility would cost somewhere in the range of $1 million to $1.7 million, depending upon the extent of the renovations. It was also noted in that report that there were various amounts of water damage on all floors. Then Building Inspector Anthony DeLuca offered the opinion that he felt the roof was about 15 to 20 years old at that time. The overall appearance was good, but he did indicate in the report that work will have to be done to eliminate apparent leaks. Through further research, the best we could come up with was that the National Guard put the roof on the structure at some time around 1987. After getting the building, the selectmen appointed an Armory Renovation Committee, and this town meeting in 2006 commissioned $50,000 for a feasibility study to review building code issues, fire code issues, and accessibility issues. In 2010, that report was finished and gave a proposal of 4 different renovation schemes ranging in cost from $4.5 million to about $2.4 million. Recently, the Youth Commission voted to endorse the scheme that cost approximately $2.4 million. From that point, the Youth Commission, I think, did a great job in terms of getting volunteer contributions, both from individuals and businesses. Major upgrades in the building that did not cost the town anything included the boiler, the windows, lighting, all to the tune of $200,000 plus that the Youth Commission did through outside sources. Also, the town took great steps to try to get outside money to fund the renovation of the building. A grant application was done in 2009 with the Department of Energy Resources for $1.2 million to do over the roof and other energy upgrades. Unfortunately, we were not successful with that application. We also put an application for stimulus money, $2.6 million, again in 2009. Unfortunately, we were not successful with that application. What's happening now is the water damage has increased dramatically, and Article 32 and 33 on this warrant look for funds to do a roof and doors. But what happened after those articles got submitted was the building inspector, John Erickson, went and did a full evaluation of the building right now. It's his opinion that the entire roof needs to be replaced at a cost of over $360,000. That number is significant because it represents more than 30% of the assessed value of the building, which is about $1 million. When you approach that percentage of renovation to the value of a building, the building code kicks in and you are mandated to make the building handicap accessible. Once that kicks in, that requires bathroom work, which then goes into plumbing work and through the walls. That work, in turn, leads to fire code work, essentially a fire suppression system, a sprinkler system. So, ladies and gentlemen, what was known in 2005 is today a reality. I think that the town has been very prudent and very conservative in its approach to this building for quite some time. We've had a number of inspections, feasibility studies, volunteer efforts, but the building needs to be renovated. And right now, I think the town needs to go forward with that. Ladies and gentlemen, this article is the first step towards that renovation. This will allow us to hire an architect, draw specifications, and then, depending upon the extent of work that needs to be done, we would come back to this body requesting funds for eventual renovation. If we are successful with this article, the Youth Center will be passing over Articles 32 and 33. So I ask for your support on this article. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? Mr. Visconti.
Mike Visconti, Precinct 8. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Precinct members, I am not going to suggest that you vote for or against this article, but what I will say is that you should know all the facts before you vote. If you vote in favor of this article, you will really be, in effect, committing to somewhere between $2 and $3 million to complete the renovation required, even though the article is asking for $300,000 for the architectural and engineering part of it. So keep in mind that a vote in favor of this article is really a commitment to proceed to spend somewhere between $2 and $3 million, probably closer to $3 million, and by the time it's done, it might be $3.5 million. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? Yes, Precinct 7 member. Oh, I'm sorry, where are you? Over here. Stand up, please. Mr. Nero.
Mr. Nero, Precinct 5. Ladies and gentlemen, I think what I heard in our last town meeting that the school committee was proposing to mothball the old St. Mary's School. The last time they mothballed a portion of the St. Mary's School, it remained empty for 25 years until it collapsed. I would just like someone to address whether we've considered moving the Youth Commission to the St. Mary's School, which was evaluated about 10 years ago by the architects as the best built school in the town of Milford. So what we plan to do is close the best built school, invest millions of dollars in the White Elephant, and have the school remain there for another 25 or 30 years until it dilapidates and falls apart. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? They ask for the Finance Committee's recommendation. Favorable. Order in Precinct 4.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Terry Thomas, Precinct 4. And I'm not sure if this is appropriate, but could we direct a question to either Mr. Murray or the Finance Committee?
You can raise a question, then it depends upon whether anybody wants to answer that. So if you have a question, just propose the question and see if it's answered.
The question is, does anyone have an idea if what Mr. Visconti just said is correct? We are committing $300,000 to do a study with an open-ended question mark in terms of how much the renovation is actually going to cost. Can anybody address that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? Attorney Murray.
Maybe I wasn't clear enough in my presentation. There was a feasibility study done, and It came up with 4 different schemes of renovation. The cost ranged between $4.5 million and $2.4 million. Any numbers beyond that are just pure speculation and not based in any type of fact at all. The Youth Commission has committed to the $2.4 million renovation, and it's important to note that within that $2.4 million includes replacement of the boiler, which has already been done, replacement of the windows, which has already been done. So we don't anticipate the number to skyrocket as mentioned by some of the previous speakers, or a previous speaker. But, ladies and gentlemen, please, don't lose focus of the article. The request is for architectural plans only. To now talk about the renovation or the construction is to put the cart before the horse. And I certainly would not presuppose what this town meeting or future town meetings would do given a particular set of facts on a particular motion, and I don't think anyone else ought to. The logical approach that's been taken in this project is the same approach that we've taken in all of the buildings of our town. We basically examine it with the town officials that we have. If it goes beyond our expertise, we hire an outside consultant. We then evaluate that information and go before this body to make the best decision we can to keep the building a key and operative part of the town. Now, I would suggest to all of you, the youth center is a very, very important part of this community. The Armory itself is a historical building, built in 1912. Milford does not ignore its buildings. We have kids going in there. We have people going in there. It's not handicap accessible, and it ought to be. There's not a fire suppression system in there, and there ought to be. So this is the kind of work that we're going to do. The Youth Commission has taken it as far as they can, and they've done one heck of a job. To enlist the help of outside businesses and individuals to the tune of over $200,000, given the economy since 2008, I think is just admirable. And now's the time for the town to take the next logical step to keep this building an important part of our community. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? Vote on precinct 4.
Chris Lavalley, Precinct 4. I have a question for Selectman Murray or the Finance Committee, I'm not sure what. Can you tell us approximately what the cost of this architectural study will be? That would certainly be very helpful in progressing with this question.
Okay. All right. You remember, this is not a question and answer period, all right? Just raise the question, and if anybody has the answer, they'll rise and I'm sure give the right answer. Attorney Murray.
I don't know if this microphone is working for me. The motion is for $300,000, okay? Generally, architectural drawings will get you to 75%. That's enough to go out and to try to get construction bid documents. So, of course, any funds that aren't expended on this particular aspect of the project would remain in the article either for future work or to be turned back to the town. But that's the number that was determined appropriate in terms of architectural services through the feasibility study.
Any other vote care to be heard? Motion has been made to move the previous question. An attempt to shut off debate. It requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of moving the previous question will rise and remain standing until counted by the monitors. All those opposed to moving the previous question will rise and remain standing until counted by the monitors. Precinct 1. 15 in favor, 4 opposed. Precinct 1 reports 15 in favor, 4 opposed. Precinct 2. Precinct 2 reports 9 in favor, 4 opposed. Precinct 3. Precinct 3 reports 12 in favor, 2 opposed. Precinct 4. Precinct 4 reports 20 in favor, 1 opposed. Precinct 5.
15 in favor, 2 opposed.
Precinct 5, 15 in favor, 2 opposed. Precinct 6. Precinct 6, 17 in favor, 2 opposed. Precinct 7. Precinct 7, 20 in favor, none opposed. Precinct 8. Precinct 8, 22 in favor, 1 opposed. At large. At large, 8 in favor, 1 opposed. (128 to 17). (138) having voted in the affirmative, 17 in the negative, the necessary two-thirds has been acquired to move the previous question. The question comes now on the motion that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $300,000, said sum to be utilized to hire an architect and/or engineer to provide architectural and/or engineering services and design plans and specifications looking toward the renovations of the Milford Youth Center and the former Armory on Pearl Street. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried. Article 19. Town Council Moody.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to make the following findings and to amend the general bylaws of the town as set forth below. Whereas sexually oriented businesses require special supervision from the public safety agencies of the town of Milford in order to protect and preserve the health, safety, and welfare of the... Thank you.
You sure you don't want to listen to all this? Okay, motion made and seconded. We dispense with the reading of the remainder of the motion if it's exactly as appears in the warrant that each town meeting member has. Is it, town? It is. Any vote care to be heard in the motion to dispense with the reading of the full article? All those in favor of dispensing with the reading manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Does any vote care to be heard? Town Council Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, I actually sent to all town meeting members the motion itself with a letter explaining it, so I won't go into tremendous detail. But this has to do with, of course, the mixture of alcohol and adult entertainment activity. As you know from following the news and from actions of this body back in 2008, adult entertainment is permitted in Milford as it has to be under the United States Constitution. And we, several years ago, set it in 2 locations in the town of Milford in 2 industrial districts. That was then challenged. We've went through court several times on a specific challenge, and we prevailed on that. In the course of all the work, it has long been thought by municipal attorneys that under the Massachusetts Declaration of Rights, under some specific cases, that unlike under the federal Constitution, that you could not ban the mixing of alcohol and adult entertainment. That was long believed to be the case. But recent federal decisions that have come down have caused us now to believe that with the right preparation, with the right research, and the right decision-making by the Board of Selectmen initially and by this body, that in fact, if this body deems it appropriate, we can have a provision in our general bylaws that would ban the mixing of alcohol and adult entertainment activity. As you know from prior discussions and from what I sent you, we can't ban adult entertainment activity. We can't ban nude dancing. No city or town can. In fact, we have to allow it. We have to allow it with certain standards, which we do in certain districts. What you do is control the secondary effects, which somebody alluded to earlier, and that's what this bylaw itself seeks to address, the secondary effects, and secondary effects that particularly now as they would flow from the mixture of alcohol and adult entertainment activity. So again, it's something the selectmen feel is important. They've reviewed all of the documents that are in here in quite detail. The chief has done a detailed report himself and presented to the selectmen. to make the case very strongly that, in fact, the mixing of alcohol and adult entertainment does exacerbate those secondary effects. And based on that, the board strongly urges you to support this, this article. And with this record that's developed, when and if it ever is challenged in federal or state court, we believe it can be made to stand. Thank you.
Is there any other vote that care to be heard in the motion? Yes.
Brett Stopey, Precinct 7. I have a little story to tell. I moved out west for a little while, and I was living in Minneapolis for about 3 months. Minneapolis has the same issue that we're faced with now. They decided to ban alcohol in their adult entertainment sections and make it so that only those places could serve soda pop. Hence, they sold a $25, very tall glass of soda, and they charged a cover charge. But they exempted it if you went to a Twins game, you got in for free. However, located right next door is a bar, and they're serving alcohol for $3 a glass. And who knows, they might even have been the same company operating both the same establishments. Me and my friends decided to go and get blitz drunk, and then we went into the nudie bar. God, I hope my parents aren't watching. The point being, there's a law in the state of Massachusetts, Scioli's Bar found out that if you serve alcoholic beverages to intoxicated persons, you are liable for what happens. If you pass this bylaw, as the state of Minneapolis did, you will experience the same problems as the state of Minneapolis. Or city, sorry. The problem is, once you take away the control of the establishment who has no alcohol on their premises, they now have no problem serving and having people who are completely intoxicated in their establishment from doing whatever they want to do. There is a liquor store not 1 mile from the establishment that we're talking about that wants to put in adult entertainment. You can't tell me that the police are going to stop every single person from taking a small nip bottle that they got for $1, bringing it in on their person, and using it while they're in that establishment. There's just no way. Secondly, you have now restricted the ability of the town of Milford from being able to keep those people from within that establishment. By passing this bylaw, you are removing the control of the town and of the state from keeping people who are already intoxicated from hanging out there and creating secondary problems, as this one would suggest that you do. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? Chief O'Laughlin.
Thomas O'Laughlin, Isaiah Circle. Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, we're not in Minnesota. The fact is, we have regulations that govern the operations of adult entertainment places. So even no alcohol, there are already strict regulations governing conduct within those establishments. Secondarily, Milford accepted the state statute, BYOB. You cannot bring your own booze to another establishment. Only licensed establishments can serve alcohol. So, and we do enforce that. We enforce it in restaurants in town that don't have licenses. We go in and tell them, we'll shut you down. We'll bring you before the Board of Selectmen to go after your licenses. So we have things in place to take care of the concerns that he experienced outside of Milford.
Any other vote care to be heard? Yes, member from Precinct 2.
I hope everyone can hear me okay. First, I'd like to thank the selectmen for taking a proactive
Excuse me,
step.
just identify yourself, sir.
I'm sorry. Jim Flanagan, Precinct 2. for taking such a proactive step to protect Milford from potential increases in crime. The article proposed the reading was waived because it's lengthy, having a lot of references offered in support. That said, I'm surprised that such a thoughtful, detailed, preemptive action ignores including other activities in town which increase crime in the communities in which they have occurred. We all know there was some casino discussion earlier, and there's a proposal being prepared to build a large gambling casino in town. And there are numerous studies regarding casinos and crime. It was referenced earlier that the selectmen were presented with data, reports, references, although anybody can simply Google crime in casinos and you get a bunch of information. It doesn't take a plan. There's a lot of information about it. Selectmen have obviously studied the sexually oriented businesses, and they have been given the information about the casino impacts at a public meeting. Why is it that the casinos talk about mitigation measures? Mitigation is to take something away. I'm sorry?
Mr. Flanagan has the floor for a few more minutes. Go ahead. Let's get on the subject of this particular...
Yes, I am, because I'm going to make a motion, sir. So whether you're pro-casino or anti-casino doesn't really matter. There are references available if anyone wishes to read them. But basically what I propose is an amendment to the motion. I move that the town vote to amend the motion made, which is to amend Article 15 to the general bylaws of the town, to include casinos as follows. The following provisions apply to all casinos where gambling is permitted, or adult entertainment or use establishments consisting of an adult bookstore, adult motion picture theater, and/or an establishment which displays live nudity for its patrons as defined by Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 9A. Located within the town of Milford as permitted under the provisions of the Milford zoning bylaws. 1, the town of Milford shall not grant or renew any license for the sale of alcohol for consumption on the premises to any casino or in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 12, to any adult entertainment or use establishment as defined above, as the presence of alcohol is documented to exacerbate secondary crime effects. The town of Milford shall not grant any special licenses for the sale of alcohol for consumption on the premises to any casino or, in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 14, to any adult entertainment or use establishment as defined above, as the presence of alcohol is documented to exacerbate negative crime effects. 3, the owners or operators of a casino or an adult entertainment or use establishment as defined above shall not allow any patron of such establishments to consume alcoholic beverages within any adult entertainment or use establishment, even if such beverages are brought to the premises by the patrons, as the presence of alcohol is documented to exacerbate negative secondary crime effects. Violation hereof by a licensee holding a license under MGL, Chapter 138, Sections 12 and/or 14, shall in all respects be deemed to be a material breach of the terms of such license. And Chapter 4 is unchanged. Section 4 is unchanged. In addition to any other remedies available in accordance with applicable law, any violation of any provision of this article should be punished by a fine of not more than $300, with each day being a separate offense. Thank you.
There's an amendment being proposed to the motion, which, as I understand it, addresses the Section 15, which is the last part of the motion as presented. After all the whereases, we're talking about a Section 15. And as I read this amendment to the motion, if you'd follow along with me in the warrant, the last section, the amendment is as follows. The following provisions apply to all, he's adding casinos where gambling is permitted before or adult entertainment or use establishments consisting of an adult bookstore, adult bookstore, adult motion picture theater, and/or establishments which display live nudity for its patrons as defined. So in that first paragraph, all he's adding is the following provisions apply. After the word apply, he's adding to all casinos where gambling is permitted. Okay? And then on paragraph 1, is it Mr. Flanagan? You just correct me if the town of Milford shall not grant or renew. Is there any change in paragraph 1? I don't think so, right? Oh, casino, right, I'm sorry. In the second line, he's got consumption on the premises, and he's added to any casino. After premises, he's added the 3 words to any casino. Then in paragraph 2, special license for the sale of alcohol for consumption, the premises, to any adult entertainment. I don't see anything in paragraph 2, right? Number 2, casino. You've added to any casino in that after premises. And then in paragraph 3, the owners or operators of a casino is added in paragraph number 3. And then in paragraph 4, there's no change. All right, so you're just adding those phrases. It's an amendment to add, I'll read it again, but in substance, I think it's just adding the provision apply to all casinos where gambling is permitted. And then in paragraph number 1, he's adding after premises to any casino. In paragraph number 2, he's adding after premises to any casino. And then in paragraph 3, he's adding of a casino after operators. Okay, any vote care to be heard on the amendment to the motion? Mr. Moody.
A few points later, ladies and gentlemen, if I may. Of course, as you've already heard, before there's ever going to be a casino in Milford, if there ever is going to be one, all the people of Milford are going to have a chance to vote on whether or not there's a casino. And then, again, after all the people have voted on whether or not there's going to be a casino, if there is, it's still got to come back before this body for a vote on necessary zoning changes. So there's going to be, again, a town-wide vote on a casino and then a vote by this body on a casino if it's ever going to happen. Very significantly in relation to this proposed amendment, if there ever is a casino, a liquor license, if there is one, isn't going to be issued by the town of Milford. Liquor licensing is handled by the Commonwealth for casinos, for better or for worse. We can't do anything about that. But the next point, in terms of adult entertainment, which is what this bylaw very carefully was drafted to regulate, adult entertainment isn't permitted in the district where the casino is proposed. So I'm not sure the purpose of the amendment. I am concerned that if an amendment like this passes, it takes what's a very carefully drafted bylaw and makes it one that may be questionable to the Attorney General when it goes for approval. And I don't think that's a good idea. We don't have anything pending right now. There is, I think a previous speaker alluded to, there being a proposal somewhere. There isn't one right now. There are no proposals that we're aware of now for adult entertainment. This is, as somebody mentioned, an effort by the selectmen to be proactive in case that ever comes. And whatever the casino issues are, or your feelings of the casino issues, I wouldn't suggest letting those feelings or those issues affect what I think is a pretty good proposal for governing a very discrete issue. Thank you, and I urge you to defeat the amendment.
Any other vote care to be heard on the amendment to the motion? Yes, Mr. Flanagan.
Jim Flanagan, Precinct 2. I'd just like to respond to the question saying, well, there's not a proposal for an adult entertainment. And yet the same argument was used as not a proposal or plan for the casino. It seems a little inconsistent to me, and that was my point. That was my whole point in this article, that we're picking and choosing the morality. That's why I presented the amendment. If we're looking at truly solving a problem and preventing secondary impacts, if that really is the true intent, then let's do it all the way. Thank you.
Mr. Buckley.
I think, as the previous speaker said, this is an intent to be proactive. But it's not intent to mix what's two separate issues. I think the more important thing that, no matter how you feel about a casino or against nudity and dancing, the more important thing that Mr. Moody said, in my mind, is that this is not a license. Should a casino ever come to Milford, this is not a license by which the Board of Selectmen or this body can control. This is specifically held out with the regulations associated with gaming, and that the state will control that license. So I'd suggest that we defeat this amendment for purposes of it's not going to have an impact in this community anyway. Thank you.
Any other vote that can be heard on the amendment to the motion, which is to add the phrases to the casinos where permitted, where gambling is permitted in the first paragraph, and then in paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 to add to any casino in paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and in paragraph 3, the owners or operators of a casino. Any other vote that can be heard on that amendment to the motion? If not, the question comes upon the amendment to the motion. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. No. The amendment to the motion is defeated. Does any vote care to be heard on the motion as presented? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is carried. Article 20, Attorney Murray.
I move that the town accept as and for a public way, a private way known as a portion of Iderola Avenue with the pertinent easements in accordance with the report of the Board of Selectmen dated April 9th, 2013, and in accordance with the following description.
Motion made and seconded to dispense with the reading of the legal description if it says in the report of the Board of Selectmen. Is it, Attorney Murray?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Any vote care to be heard on the motion to dispense? If not, the question comes upon the motion to dispense. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion to dispense is carried. Attorney Murray.
Ladies and gentlemen, public hearing was held on April 8th, 2013. The Board of Selectmen voted to lay out a portion of Iderola Ave as a public way. The Planning Board and the Town Engineer have also recommended favorable action. The developer and fee holder is James Nagera, 35 Highland Street.
Does the Planning Board have a report or recommendation? Favorable. Does any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried. Article 21. Attorney Murray.
I move that the town vote to accept for and as a public way, a private way known as Rock Hill Farm Road with the pertinent easements in accordance with the report of the Board of Selectmen dated April 9th, 2013, and described as follows. Jerry?
Motion made and seconded to dispense with the reading of the remainder if it's exactly the description is as in the report of the Board of Selectmen. Is it, Attorney Murray?
Yes.
Does any vote care to be heard in the motion to dispense? If not, the question comes upon the motion to dispense. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Planning Board recommendation? Planning Board recommendation? Favorable. Attorney Murray.
Public hearing was held April 8th, 2013. The Board of Selectmen voted to lay out Rock Hill Farm Road as a public way. The Planning Board and Town Engineer recommended favorable. The developer and fee holder is James Nagera, 35 Highland Street.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Article 22. Attorney Murray. Where is it? Did you have this one right here?
I move that the town vote to amend Article 15A, General Bylaws of the Town entitled Dog Control Law by making the following changes. A.
Motion again to dispense with the reading of the remainder if it's exactly as appears in the warrant. Is it, Attorney Murray?
Yes.
There are no changes. Any vote indicated to be heard in the motion to dispense? If not, the question comes upon the motion to dispense. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Does the, no, Attorney Murray.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this article is being proposed to bring the town bylaws into accordance with a new state statute governing the situations of dog control. Essentially, this does three things. It's being revised so that its provisions are consistent with the new statute. It simply changes the title of the position from the old title of dog officer to the new title authorized by the statute, animal control officer. And it also relates to the penalty provisions, making a fine set forth in our penalty provisions the same as the fine set forth in the state statute.
Finance Committee have a recommendation?
We refer to sponsor.
Any other vote indicated to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 23, Mr. Carroll.
I move that the town vote to amend Section 5.13 of the Milford Personnel Bylaws by the addition of the following to be effective on July 1st, 2013. Longevity pay shall also be granted to eligible personnel in the following positions based upon cumulative years of service in the town of Milford. $350 per year for years 10 through 14, $450 per year for years 15 through 19, and $650 per year for 20 years and thereafter. The salaried positions are Deputy Police Chief, Police Lieutenant, Town Engineer, Town Planner, Director of Sewer Operations, Assessor Administrator, Health Agent, Building Commissioner, Parks Recreation Administrator, Community Development Director, Senior Center Director, Assistant Town Council. The hourly rated positions involved are Director of Youth Commission, Animal Control Officer, Inspector Plumbing and Gas, Inspector Wiring, Health Inspector, Lister Data Collector, Assistant Zoning Enforcement Officer, Senior Building Custodian, Junior Building Custodian, Planning Assistant, and Administrative Assistant to the Board of Health.
Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Does any vote indicate to be heard? Mr. Carroll?
Yes, this article is supplemental to an article that was passed last year to allow positions that were so listed to also benefit from the longevity pay. We'd like a vote of recommendation on this article. Thank you very much.
Any other vote indicate to be heard? Yes. Mr. Bertarelli?
Edward Bertarelli, Precinct 2. I have my questions in two parts. It appears that one salaried position, that of the town accountant, was omitted from this. I didn't get this till the meeting. And my next question would be whether we should include the elected positions of the treasurer, collector, tax collector, town clerk, and highway surveyor in it. The first question is whether we would need an amendment to add the town accountant to this position.
Any other vote indicate to be heard? Town Council Moody?
No, the town accountant actually isn't included. Town accountant, under the law, has a right to a contract and has his own contract, as do other positions in town. And this is a part of the personnel bylaws, which cannot by law affect elected positions. Elected positions are set by the vote that you did tonight, and that's their rate of pay. This is strictly for the non-contractual, some non-contractual non-union appointed positions under the Personnel Board.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried. Article 24. Town Council Moody. Motion made and seconded. We pass over Article 24. It's an attempt to take no action on the article that was inserted in the warrant. Does any vote care to be heard on the motion to pass over? If not, the question comes upon the motion to pass over Article 24. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion to pass over is carried. Article 25.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $129,383.42 from the Town Hall exterior painting account 5122.5241, and further that the town also vote to transfer the additional sum of $55,000 from the excess and deficiency account, total sum of $184,383.42 to be utilized for the replacement of the town hall roof.
A motion made and seconded. The town vote to transfer the sum of $129,383.42 from the town hall exterior painting account number 5122.5241, and further that the town also vote to transfer the additional sum of $55,000 from the excess and deficiency account, the total sum of $184,383.42 to be utilized for the replacement of the town hall roof. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Does any vote care to be heard?
Town meeting members, once again, I think in the past, this is a great hall. You've supported it, and we thank you and the Finance Committee for all your support in the past. The town hall roof needs to be replaced. The current roof is 30 years old, and presently the shingles are decaying and disintegrating, and we don't want, leaks to start happening soon. So if you approve this article, we'll go out for bid. The specs are being made out now, and then once we award the bid, we'll try to grant the award, and then hopefully we can fix the roof as soon as possible. So appreciate your support. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 26. Town Council Moody. Motion made and seconded. We pass over Article 26. It's an attempt to take no action on the article that was inserted in the warrant. It's debatable. Does any vote care to be heard on the motion to pass over Article 26? If not, the question comes upon the motion to pass over Article 26. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion to pass over is carried. Article 27.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members,
Bartolomeus.
I vote that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 set sum to be utilized by the Board of Selectmen for consultant services to produce engineering drawings, plans, and specifications associated with the fiscal year 2014 Community Development Block Grant applications.
Motion made and seconded. The town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 said sum to be utilized by the Board of Selectmen for consultant services to produce engineering drawings, plans, and specifications associated with the fiscal year 2014 CDBG grant application. Does Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Does any vote care to be heard?
Town meeting members, as you know,
Bartolomeus.
or may not know, we've been very successful with these grants over the past 15 years. We probably have received about $12 million from the state. We've done Prospect Heights. We're finishing up Church Street right now, Draper, Bancroft area, downtown area. We've done the parking areas on Central Street, Jefferson Street. We're doing North Bow Street, the facades on Main Street. And these grants have become very competitive, and the $25,000, as we've done in the past, helps us to become more competitive. It gives us more points as far as the applications are concerned, because monies are drying up and only certain applications will be accepted. So we've been very, very successful. We're planning with Sue Clark, the development person right now, to look at areas that may need work, and I think this has greatly benefited the town. And like I said, it's been about $12 million that we've received, and I think it's done great things for the town of Milford. So hopefully you can approve this expenditure, and we'll use the consultant once again in the right way in looking at projects that need to be addressed in our community. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 28. Finance Committee.
Chris Moore, Finance Committee. Mr. Moderator, ladies and gentlemen, I move that the Town of Milford vote to establish a capital project stabilization account pursuant to General Law, Chapter 40, Section 5B, and further, to transfer the sum of $500,000 from the excess and deficiency account, said sum to be added to the said new stabilization account.
Motion made and seconded. The town vote to establish a capital project stabilization account pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 5B, and further to transfer the sum of $500,000 from the excess and deficiency account, said sum to be added to the new stabilization account. Mr. Moran.
Thank you. The creation of this account and the transfer of this money would aid in the funding of our capital projects. As the chairman of the Finance Committee mentioned earlier, this town does face large capital projects from time to time, such as the painting of the town hall, large fire trucks that could be up to $1 million. And what this fund will enable us to do is to transfer money into this fund so that when these large capital projects come up, we will have the money there to spend. Instead of having articles every year funding a little bit, we would be able to transfer into this fund. And when these large capital projects come up, not only will that money be earning interest, but the money will be available for us to purchase these large capital projects.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 29. Attorney Murray.
I move that the town vote to accept as and for a public way, a private way known as a portion of Madden Avenue, with the pertinent rights and easements as described in the report of the Board of Selectmen dated April 9th, 2013, in accordance with the following description.
Motion made and seconded. We dispense with the reading of the remainder of the motion. It's exactly as in the report of the Board of Selectmen. Is it, Attorney Murray?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Any vote care to be heard on the motion to dispense? If not, the question comes upon the motion to dispense. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Does the Planning Board have a recommendation? Favorable. Attorney Murray.
Public hearing held by the Board of Selectmen on April 8th, 2013, voted to lay out a portion of Madden Avenue as a public way. The town engineer recommended favorable action. The developer and fee holder is James Nagara, 35 Highland Street.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 30. Yes, Morganelli.
David Morganelli from the Finance Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, we're asking that we pass over Article 30 because there is a sum of funds under Article 37 when we get to it in the approximate amount of $620,000 that will be coming back to us from the School Building Authority. So we'll be asking favorable on that one. So please pass over this article. Thank you.
Motion is made and seconded. We pass over Article 30. Does any other vote care to be heard in the motion to pass over Article 30? If not, the question comes upon the motion to pass over Article 30. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Article 30 is passed over. Article 31. Town Council Moody.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $70,000 from the excess and deficiency account, said sum to be utilized with funds earlier appropriated to finalize the litigation with Mass DEP and to finalize the remediation efforts in relation to contamination in the area of the bicycle trail off of Sumner Street.
Motion made and seconded. The town vote to transfer the sum of $70,000 from the excess and deficiency account, Said sum to be utilized with funds earlier appropriated to finalize the litigation with Mass DEP and to finalize the remediation efforts in relation to contamination in the area of the bicycle trail off Sumner Street. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any vote care to be heard? Town Council Moody.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you're all aware, this is the issue that's been going on for a good number of years now in relation to the significant contamination that was found back in 2006 behind the Benjamin Moore property off of Sumner Street. Litigation has been going on both with Benjamin Moore and with the Mass DEP over some discrete issues, and also the cleanup has gone on. And the last time I stood here before you, I think I was able to report that the EPA had come in and had cleaned up the site and put it in a safe condition, so all the fences came down, at least as of now, at no cost to the town. That has brought about, in working with the selectmen and others, a conditional agreement with Benjamin Moore to dismiss that litigation, the condition being so long as EPA and DEP do not come after us for any of the cleanup costs. What we're now getting is the money so we can wrap up the actual cleanup itself. We hope that this takes us to the end. It's a very complex process under the Chapter 21E regulations and all the engineering and site work that has to be done and all the reports that have to be filed. But that is the goal, that hopefully within this summer, or at least something very close to it, this can be wrapped up, the site will be safe, and it can be the end of the issues for all time. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 32. Motion made and seconded, we pass over Article 32. Does any vote care to be heard on the motion to pass over Article 32? If not, the question comes upon the motion to pass over Article 32. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion to pass over is carried. Article 33. Motion made and seconded, we pass over Article 33. Does any vote care to be heard on the motion to pass over Article 33? If not, the question comes upon the motion to pass over Article 33. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Article 33 is passed over. Article 34. Town Treasurer Barbara Ogier.
I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $304,888.91 from account number 6000-3190. Said sum to be transferred to the Sewer Department Stabilization Fund.
Motion made and seconded, the town vote to transfer the sum of $304,888.91 from account number 6000-3190, said sum to be transferred to the Sewer Department Stabilization Fund. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Barbara?
Town meeting several meetings ago, we established a stabilization fund for the purpose of the sewer department to be used in the event that they have any major construction that needs to be done down at the sewer facility. At some point, I expect that the sewer commissions would come before this board with a recommendation to utilize that money. This is the money that the town has received from the town of Hopkinton, and we've been transferring it into this account. There is over $4 million in there now, so it is starting to build up, and I'm recommending that we continue to do this on an annual basis, and I hope we have your support.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 35. Attorney Murray, I'm sorry.
I move that the town vote to accept as and for a public way a private way known as a portion of Broad Street with the pertinent easements in accordance with the report of the Board of Selectmen dated April 9th, 2013, and described therein as follows.
Motion made and seconded. We dispense with the reading of the description if it's exactly as in the report of the Board of Selectmen. Is it, Attorney Murray?
Yes.
Yes. Does any vote care to be heard in the motion to dispense? If not, the question comes upon the motion to dispense. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion to dispense is carried. Does the Planning Board have a recommendation? Favorable. Does any vote care to be heard? Attorney Murray?
Thank you. Public hearing was held April 8th, 2013. The Board of Selectmen voted to lay out Broad Street as a public way. The town engineer recommended favorable action. The developer and fee holder is Samuel J. Manguso, 12 Broad Street in Milford.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes on the motion. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is carried unanimously. Article 36. Motion made and seconded. We pass over Article 36. Does any vote care to be heard on the motion to pass over Article 36? If not, the question comes upon the motion to pass over Article 36. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Article 36 is passed over. Article 37. Barbara?
I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $620,515.85 to be added to the stabilization fund established under General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 5B. $376,136.85 of said sum to be transferred from account number 1000-3720, with the balance of $244,379 to be transferred from account number 1000-3271.
Motion made and seconded. The town vote to transfer the sum of $620,515.85 to be added to the stabilization fund established under General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 5B. $376,136.85 of said sum to be transferred from account number 1000-3720, with the balance of $244,379 to be transferred from account number 1000-3271. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Does any vote care to be heard? Barbara?
Town meeting members, this $620,000 has been sitting in the town's book in a reserve available for long-term debt. The last few fiscal years we have not needed to use it to offset the debt of the town. So at this time, it makes sense to move it into the stabilization fund where it can accrue interest and be used for a purpose as deemed appropriate for this board.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Next article, 40, is it? Oh, we got 38. I'm trying to... Town Council Moody, sorry.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to amend the zoning bylaw relating to medical marijuana treatment centers as noted hereinafter by adding in Article Roman numeral 4 definitions, a definition for medical marijuana treatment centers as follows. Medical marijuana treatment center, a not-for-profit entity as defined by Massachusetts law, only duly registered by the Massachusetts.
Motion made and seconded to dispense with the reading of the remainder of the motion if it's exactly as appears in the warrant that town meeting members have before them. Yes, it is. Any other vote care to be heard on the motion to dispense with the reading of the remainder of the motion? If not, the question comes upon the motion to dispense. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion to dispense is carried. Does the planning board have a recommendation? Recommendation.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 5, Milford Planning Board conducted a duly posted and noticed public hearing on February 5th, 2013 regarding the subject of Article 38, at which time it was voted 3-2 to make an unfavorable recommendation to town meeting. Article 38 would establish provisions for medical marijuana treatment centers by revising the permitted use in Section 2.3 Use Regulation Schedule by adding a new footnote number 23 to said Section 2.3, providing for location standards for such centers, and by adding a new definition for such centers in Section 4.1 definitions. In so voting, the Planning Board expressed its overall support of the proposed amendment, but for the special permit granting authority as designated. The board feels that the special permit granting authority should be the planning board rather than the zoning board of appeals as proposed. Therefore, the planning board does not support the adoption of Article 38 as currently printed in the warrant. Thank you.
Is there any other vote indicated here? Town Council Moody.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, as I'm sure you're all aware, back in November 2012, the people of the Commonwealth overwhelmingly voted to enact a medical marijuana law. And under that law, up to 35 medical marijuana treatment centers are going to be located statewide ultimately. They have to be nonprofit organizations. There must be one, at least one in each county. And treatment centers will be involved in all aspects, both cultivation, distribution, storage, everything that will be involved in this. And after this was passed, the selectmen realized that Milford, as a regional center that it is likely to have a facility, and they were also aware that the Milford zoning bylaw in its current status is inadequate to address it. And the board didn't consider banning. I mean, the people banning, as some communities have, the people of the Commonwealth spoke by a very large majority, and I think this town also voted by a significant majority, to allow medical marijuana treatment facilities. So the concept of banning them, as some communities tried, was not considered by the board. And in fact, those efforts to ban them have been struck down where they have been tried. But again, as I indicated, the current provisions would allow the medical marijuana treatment centers effectively by special permit by the Zoning Board of Appeals in all districts, commercial, industrial, and even residential districts, because since they have to be nonprofit, they'd be nonprofit organizations, which can be allowed in all districts by special permit. So the selectmen worked with the town planner to develop a better provision, obviously. And the main thing they did was to limit the locations to the Industrial A and the Industrial C zoning districts. This is a very large area of land. Within that, there are many, many suitable parcels of vacant land and or industrial commercial buildings that are readily available to be converted and utilized. So again, they're limited to those districts. And they put some provisions in the bylaw, as you can see, to provide some restrictions in terms of setback. And in terms of the selectmen, they weren't doing this in any way as a power play for themselves, because you can see they're not the permit granting authority. They made the Zoning Board of Appeals, or proposed to make the Zoning Board of Appeals the permit granting authority. The Zoning Board of Appeals is the special permit granting authority for the vast majority of special permits under our bylaw now, and have always been. They're the body that's most familiar with the quasi-judicial process that has to be utilized, and they are the appropriate body to handle these special permit applications under this bylaw whenever they come. So again, under all the circumstances, the board strongly recommends that you vote favorable on this article. Thank you.
Any other vote indicated to be heard? Order from Mr. Johnson.
Hello, Greg Johnson, Precinct 3. So as was mentioned earlier, the hospital in town here is a nonprofit. If we let this go through, since they're immediately adjacent to a variety of residential areas, the town also has other clinics in town that are within this 200 feet setback. So we have existing businesses in town that handle far more dangerous compounds or medically sensitive compounds. And if this passes, it would appear that people set up to handle far more significant medicines also would no longer be able to add this additional service. I'm thinking particularly the hospital. And to that end, I have an amendment. So in the first paragraph of Article 38, the definition for medical marijuana treatment center, I would strike the word acquires and its comma, leaving then cultivates, removing the comma after it, and all words and punctuation after that until the word transports, replacing all those stricken words with the word or, then also deleting the words sells, distributes, dispenses, or administers, removing the comma after marijuana and replacing it with an or, and then striking after the products containing marijuana that comma, and the following words, related supplies or educational materials, striking all those words. Basically, that would allow a hospital or other nonprofit organization would be in a position to maybe administer these drugs, but not grow them. I could see where growing them is an industrial purpose that should easily be set aside into a larger and more suitable area. But the actual distribution seems to me that people who need this kind of help don't need to be put into the back alleys and in the corners of this town, especially if they already are seeing doctors or other therapists at our existing institutions. Also, the reason for striking those last few words, related supplies and educational materials, it seems to me that even if the hospital decided not to engage in this sort of practice, they should at least not be prohibited from handing out a pamphlet that would allow interested patients or their caregivers access to information that would help make a more informed decision. So to that end, I make the amendment as noted.
Okay, help me out, Craig. As I understand your amendment, you have it before you that you're changing the definition of the medical marijuana treatment center to be as follows: a nonprofit entity as defined by Massachusetts law only, duly registered by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, that cultivates
or transports marijuana
or products containing marijuana in qualifying patients or their personal caregivers. So you're striking out all the words in between. I think that's the easiest way to strike out those words so that the definition would be a nonprofit entity as defined by Massachusetts law only, duly registered by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, that cultivates marijuana or products containing marijuana to qualifying patients or their personal caregivers.
That was cultivates or transports.
Oh, cultivate, I keep on missing that. All right, cultivates or transports. Okay. Any other vote care to be heard on the amendment to the motion? Town Council Moody.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I urge you to defeat the amendment. The definition that you see before you is not something the Board of Selectmen or myself made up. That's the definition within the statute. That's the definition that the people of the Commonwealth passed. So we took that definition so that the medical marijuana centers that would come into being in Milford under that definition would be the ones that would be allowed in this very substantial area. So again, the definition is not something that we should be playing with in terms of any amendments right now. This is a definition that is set under the law that was passed by the people. Again, I'd urge you to defeat the motion and pass this bylaw. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard on the amendment to the motion? Yes, Mr. Jones.
So I would urge you actually to support the amendment that I proposed, principally because while this may be the language used by the state, we are talking here, this body is in front of it, the decision as to where do we place it in town, and that is based, obviously we want to use the intention was to use the state's definition. My intention is to loosen that up because we have businesses and organizations in town whom will be prohibited, it would appear, the nonprofits at least, would be prohibited from engaging in these sorts of activities, even if they are the most suitable organizations to be doing such work. So for that reason, I understand the original intention in the state's language and all that, but that's precisely why I amended it, is because that language just seems inappropriate. Having said that, the original language does make sense for larger commercial institutions that want to cultivate it. I mean, a growing farm, obviously you don't want a whole farm in the back of a residential area. That doesn't quite seem to make sense. Transporting is a business that seems to be suitable to professional couriers perhaps, not something the hospital should be involved in, unless, well, that's another story, and one I presume can be regulated by special permit. but I urge you to accept the amendment precisely because the language has been loosened up.
Any other vote that can be heard on the amendment to the motion? If not, the question comes upon the amendment to the motion. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The amendment to the motion is defeated. Any vote that can be heard on the motion as presented? Yes, the vote of Precinct 4.
Chris LaValle, Precinct 4. I understand the concern of the other town meeting member who proposed the amendment, because when you look at section 2.3, footnote 23, it pretty much prohibits a center anywhere in Milford. And we do have a cancer treatment center here in Milford. This type of medicine is very appropriate for cancer patients. To not have the ability to have a dispensary at the very least. I understand all the concerns about a grow house and a processing house, but to not have the ability to have a dispensary near the cancer treatment center seems very unjust to the patients who would benefit from this medicine. And I believe we should table this, rewrite it, and address it in the fall. So I would like to make a motion to table this and move over this article. Thank you.
All right, there's been a motion to table the article. A motion to table is debatable. Does any vote care to be heard on the motion to table the motion as presented? If not, the question comes upon the motion to table. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is defeated. Any other vote care to be heard on the motion as presented? Pause.
Hi, Michael Suarez, Precinct 6. Again, I further understand what the previous speakers were saying about the proposed areas. First, I'd like to thank the Board of Selectmen and Town Council for being proactive in this. My only opposition, again, is the designated areas. Personally, I think we should try to propose a bylaw that mimics that of the article that was passed over, Article 26, where it separates uses, so that, you know, cultivating, processing could be in the industrial zones, whereas dispensaries can be in any appropriate area that a pharmacy would be, or the cancer center. So, and again, I'd like to make sure that we remember who exactly that this bylaw affects the most. People affected with cancer, ALS, Crohn's disease, Parkinson's, hepatitis C. It's not for recreational use. It's not for drug addicts. It's not for our youth to abuse. And therefore, I just like to make a motion to pass over this bylaw.
Motion made and second. We pass over the motion before us. Again, that's debatable. Does any other voter care to be heard on the motion to pass over? If not, the question comes upon the motion to pass over. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Any other voter care to be heard on the motion as presented? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. It's an amendment to the zoning bylaw and therefore requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of the motion as presented rise and remain standing until counted by the monitors. All those opposed rise and remain standing until counted by the monitors. Precinct 1. 13. Precinct 1 reports 13 in favor, 3 opposed. Precinct 2. Precinct 2 reports 9 in favor, 1 opposed. Precinct 3. Precinct 3 reports 9 in favor, 3 opposed. Precinct 4. Precinct 4 reports 11 in favor, 4 opposed. Precinct 5.
16 in favor, 1 opposed.
Precinct 5 reports 16 in favor, 1 opposed. Precinct 6. Precinct 6 reports 13 in favor, 1 opposed. Precinct 7. I'm sorry, 17. 17 in favor, 1 opposed. Precinct 7. Precinct 7 reports 17 in favor, 2 opposed. Precinct 8. I'm sorry, Don. 20 in favor. 14 in favor, 6 opposed. And at large. 8 in favor, none opposed. (114) having voted in affirmatively, 21 in the negative. The necessary 2/3 has been acquired and the motion has been passed. Article 39. Chief O'Loughlin. You're going to have to read all of this, you realize that? Chief O'Loughlin.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the general bylaws of the town by inserting a new Article 38 to be entitled Sex Offender Restrictions, and which would provide in full as follows. Sex offender restrictions.
Motion made and seconded. We dispense with the reading of the remainder of the motion. It's exactly as appears in the warrant that we all have copies of. Is it the same?
Yes.
It is. Does any voter care to be heard on the motion to dispense? If not, the question comes upon the motion to dispense. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion to dispense is carried. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Chief O'Loughlin.
Ladies and gentlemen, the intent of this bylaw, as you see, is to restrict sex offenders who reside in this community. At present, the state law merely puts them into levels for registration purposes, Level 3 being the most serious and most likely to reoffend. Level 3 and Level 2 sex offenders' information are available to the public. The information of those in Level 1 is for law enforcement purposes only. This proposed bylaw is important because at present we have 77 sex offenders living in Milford. 59 of them are in the top 2 levels, Level 3 and 2. 16 are in Level 1 and 2 have not yet been classified by the state. Also, in registering sex offenders, we've had a couple of occasions where sex offenders moved to this community, never having lived here before, simply because the community they lived in had a bylaw just like this. This past March 2003, the state auditor cross-matched sex offender addresses across the Commonwealth with Level 2 and Level 3 sex offenders, and she found 119 sex offenders with the same address, residence address, as a daycare center. WCVB TV5 investigative reporters contrasted the number of level sex offenders in Level 3 against populations and communities across the state, and they ranked Milford as number 46. We're tied with the city of Cambridge. Framingham had less than Milford. In response to those issues, we looked at 21 bylaws across the Commonwealth and 6 from out of state. Working with town council, we drafted this bylaw. This bylaw restricts only Level 3 and Level 2 offenders. They're prohibited from living within 200 feet of any school, daycare center, or facility, park, elderly housing facility, facility for people with an intellectual or physical disability, or a library. It also prohibits them from entering those premises without permission, to include school bus stops. So they cannot loiter at a school bus stop for more than 15 minutes. There are exceptions and exemptions that you'll see within the bylaw, and those were as a result of working with town council so that we would meet statutory and constitutional legal requirements. Lastly, the penalties are a fine of up to $300, either a criminal complaint or non-criminal complaint. And I would urge you passing this, please.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 39. 40. Tired. Chief O'Laughlin.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $5,000 from the excess and deficiency account, said sum to be spent under the jurisdiction of the police chief, to purchase new uniforms and accessories for the police department honor guard.
Motion made and seconded. The town vote to transfer the sum of $5,000 from the excess and deficiency account, said sum to be spent under the jurisdiction of the police chief, to purchase new uniforms and accessories for the police department honor guard. Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any other vote care to be heard? Chief O'Laughlin.
The honor guard is the face of the Milford Police Department. They perform in the Memorial Day and Veterans Day parades. They also attend services for fallen police officers, firefighters, armed forces, members in the United States military. I'd urge your support.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 41. Mr. Christofouli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town will vote to transfer the sum of $87,000 from the excess and deficiency account, said sum to be utilized in conjunction with funds to be made available through the Municipal Property Insurance Fund to replace a truck or related equipment recently burned in the course of a snow plowing operation.
Motion made and seconded. The town vote to transfer the sum of $87,000 from the excess and deficiency account, said sum to be utilized in conjunction with funds to be made available through the Municipal Property Insurance Fund to replace a truck or related equipment recently burned in the course of snow plowing operations. Finance Committee recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any vote care to be heard? Scott?
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, unfortunately on March 19th, we lost a vital piece of equipment due to a fire. This truck was used for snow removal, hauling, and was burned beyond repair. It's imperative that we replace this truck. The hauling capacity of this truck is 2.5 times all our other trucks, and eliminates the need for more employees and more trucks for all the hauling we do, especially in reclamation and snow removal. Some of the equipment was salvageable. We have a $25,000 snowplow system on the truck, which will be installed on a new piece of equipment. I ask for your support in this article. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is carried unanimously. Article 42. Town Council Moody.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to amend the general bylaws of the town by striking therefrom the current Article 22 and replacing said article with a new Article 22 as follows.
Mr. Moderator, move that we dispense with the legal description if it's the same.
Well, we can dispense with the reading of the remainder of the motion. Any vote care to be heard in the motion to dispense? If not, is it the same, by the way? Yes, it is. Any vote care to be heard on the motion to dispense? If not, question comes upon the motion to dispense. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any vote care to be heard? Town Council Moody.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Moderator. This proposal makes a few changes in our existing bylaw. The primary one is to eliminate what had been a very long and detailed provision as to a formula for parking spaces and for what had to be provided there. And simply through that last sentence you see of Section 1, simply making it all subject to the current the standards set out in the regulations. So we'll now be uniform in terms of requirements for parking areas and in terms of how those parking areas are laid out with the rest of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The second part of it is some changes to Section 2, just to make it clear that people are not allowed to stand in parking spaces. The police department occasionally runs into people who are in a handicapped space without the handicap placard and say, well, I can stay here because I'm standing, I'm not parking it. So we eliminate that, and we also clear up any questions about parking within the striped areas, which occasionally is a concern. So those are the changes, and I urge your support to this. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 43. Town Council Buckley.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to amend their agreement with Northbridge Solar LLC for net metering credit in relation to solar electric generating facility in Northbridge, Massachusetts, so that the agreement, now for a term of 5 years, may be extended for a full term of 20 years.
Motion made and seconded. The town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to amend their agreement with Northbridge Solar LLC for net metering credit in relation to a solar electric generating facility in Northbridge, Massachusetts, so that the said agreement, now for a term of 5 years, may be extended for a full term of 20 years. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any vote care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator. The Board of Selectmen signed a 5-year agreement with Northbridge Solar LLC to purchase what's called net metering credits from their solar electric generating facility in Northbridge. This article seeks to amend that agreement to 20 years. Solar-based systems are intermittent generators which only produce at obvious times when the sun is available. Milford will draw power from the electric grid when our generator does not meet our load requirements. Also, at times, Milford will send power back to the grid when our electric generator exceeds our energy needs. At the beginning of a billing month, if we use less energy than we've sent to the grid, a net credit will result. There is also a make-whole clause within our agreement which caps the cost of electricity with a maximum cost for the entire contract. So just by way of example, the first year savings to the town is $93,000. And the savings over a 20-year period is projected to be $3.1 million. So this makes sense from our perspective, both from an environment and also from an economic standpoint, in that it is beneficial to the town that we're receiving these credits. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? Yes.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I'm John Tian from Precinct 5. As chairperson of Milford's Renewable Energy Advisory Committee, I urge your support for this measure. My committee was proud to recommend this to Board of Selectmen, and we're proud of the Board of Selectmen for adopting it. This will save the town some considerable money, as well as reduce our carbon footprint. It's the ideal project, and the reason why I asked the board to form the Renewable Energy Advisory Committee back in 2009. I urge your support. Thank you.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 44. Our town accountant, Mr. Taylor.
I move that the town vote to transfer funds between certain line items voted under Article 4 of the May 21st, 2012 annual town meeting for the purpose of making funds available in line item accounts not sufficiently funded through the end of fiscal year 2013 as follows. It is.
Our town accountant indicates that all town meeting members have a handout that shows the transfers from the 6 different departments and would like to dispense with the reading of the remainder of the motion. Any vote care to be heard on the motion to dispense? If not, the question comes upon the motion to dispense. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried. Any vote? Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any vote care to be heard? Town Accountant.
All transfers are within existing appropriations and necessary to satisfy the respective departmental budgetary needs.
Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Yes. Motion made and seconded to reconsider Article 39. Is any vote care to be heard? Attorney Heller.
Mr. Moderator, Mr. Abrahamson from my precinct pointed out to me that there was a typographical error in Article 39. I've conferred with the chief, and he indicated that there was, in fact, under Section 4, subsections 7 and 8. If you look in the warrant, it says a registered sex offender is prohibited from loitering within 5, and then in parentheses it says 250 feet. And similarly in Section 8, it says within 5, and in parentheses says 250 feet. I would ask you, Mr. Moderator, that we reconsider and that we amend it to extract the number 2 and 0. No, strike that and make within 5 feet would be replaced with the word 250 feet.
Well, all right, just first of all, do we want to reconsider Article 39? Any other vote care to be heard on the motion to reconsider?
This is just a simple typographical issue. The numbers there are 250, and that was the intent you'll see throughout the proposed bylaw.
Any other vote care to be heard on the motion to reconsider Article 39? Yes, David. All right, we're still talking about whether we want to reconsider Article 39 before we take the action, the appropriate corrective action. Any other vote care to be? Any other vote care to be heard on the motion to reconsider? If not, the question comes upon the motion to reconsider Article 39. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is passed. We have now before us Article 39. Chief?
Mr. Moderator, I move to amend Article 39 by inserting the words 250 feet in front of the numerics 250 feet throughout the article.
Well, we got to point out where in the handout this has to be done. Because we said it was exactly as appears in the I mean, every place that, what? Well, you tell me. I'm not the...
Mr. Moderator, in paragraph C3.
What section? Section 1?
In section C, under section 3, I'm sorry, section
3,
paragraph C, subparagraph 3, replace the word 50 with the words 250.
It's already there in my... In my motion in the motion that we had before us, at least that was presented, in paragraph, section 3, residency restrictions, C, exceptions, and under C3, the school daycare center, facility, park, elderly housing facility, facility for people with intellectual physical disability, or library located within 250 feet. It's already there.
Mr. Moderator, in section 3E, in two places, you'll see the numerics 250, and in this particular town meeting document that went out to town meeting members says 50.
The notice to move, a registered sex offender who resides on a permanent or temporary basis within 250 feet of any school. That's in my... Section 4.
Right.
I told you, Chief, you're going to have to read this whole thing. Remember? All right. Section
Thank you all.
Prohibitions. Where's that now?
Number 7 and 8.
Number 7.
4A, 7 and 8.
Ordering within 5.
6, 7, and 8. No, it's there. 200's there. 200's there. It's number 7 and 8, Mr. Moderator.
Things have been moving along so quickly here.
Number 7 and 8, Mr.
6,
Moderator.
7, and 8.
No, 6 is all set.
In the motion that I have before me that was presented in paragraph prohibitions, A, under section 3, section 4, safety zones. Under paragraph 6, that section on prohibitions, paragraph 6, and we're not looking at the Finance Committee report. Okay, we're looking at the motion that was handed to me in paragraph 6. A registered sex offender is prohibited from loitering within 250 feet of a school. 7 says a registered sex offender is prohibited from loitering within 250 feet of a school bus stop for a period of not more than 15 minutes. And then 8 is also within 250 feet. I mean, the motion that was handed to me now raises the question, is this what everybody has before them, the actual motion and the warrant? Well, let's look at the warrant. All right, give me this section again, is 7 and 8. This is the exceptions. Just 7 and 8 under section 4. Okay, all right, I see it. All right. Now you've got to present the motion. Let's start all over again. You're going to present the motion under Article 38, then I'm going to ask if it's exactly as appears in the warrant. You're going to make the correction so that everybody knows in Section 7 and 8, it's not, it's 250 feet, okay? What's the pleasure of the meeting under Article 38? Chief O'Loughlin.
It's Article 39, sir.
39,
sir.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Moderator, I move to amend Article 39 in paragraph...
No, let's just present the motion as we start. Then I'll ask if there's if it's exactly as appears in the warrant that everybody has, then you'll make that correction so that everybody will know that that's 250 in Section 7 and 8.
Okay. Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the general bylaws of the town by inserting a new Article 38 to be entitled Sex Offender Restrictions, and which would provide in full as follows.
A motion made and seconded that we waive the reading if it's exactly as appears in the warrant, which all town meeting members have. Is it exactly as appears in?
No, Mr. Moderator.
Oh, okay,
There's,
Chief.
two typos.
What's the change?
Paragraph 7 and 8, in Section 4, indicates within 5, but then has the numeric 250. I would like to change the lettering 5 to 250.
50. All right. Everybody understand that? That's the motion before you. All right. So we'll dispense with the reading of the motion, the rest of the motion, because it's now corrected. Any vote that care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried. Okay. All right. What's the pleasure of the meeting? The next article, I think, is Article 45. Town Accountant, Mr. Taylor.
I move that the town vote to transfer any remaining balancings in the following accounts to the general fund of the town. It is.
All right, the town accountant indicates that the motion is exactly as you have it in front of you as far as the warrant is concerned on your seats. Does any vote care to be heard on the motion to dispense with the reading? If not, the question comes upon the motion to dispense. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable. Any other vote care to be heard? I want to know about that 84 cents.
All articles are complete and no longer necessary to be encumbered.
Okay. Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor manifest by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion is carried. Motion made and seconded to dissolve the warrant. And all those in favor manifest by saying aye. Opposed, no. Monitors, please bring forward their attendance sheets.